Okay, I haven't done this in in a long time, but I am excited. Hello, everyone. My name is Obvious. Yes, it really is obvious. I get that a lot, but I'm not gonna go into it. Yeah, welcome to a video which I thought was really necessary. I want to speak about the 27 things I've learned in my 27 years. I'm turning 27. Happy birthday to me. Um, and I'm shooting this at a point where I'm too tired, right? And I'm saying too tired because my October is a busy month for work. And we're preparing for exams and stuff. So it's really just a lot. Like I have marking. I just wrapped out the ball yesterday. So it's just a lot going on. So I thought that maybe I should take this time and record this video for myself. I think the 27 things I've learned, I had been writing down. Let me see what was the last date here. Okay, it doesn't show, but I had been writing them for some time. So it's probably influenced by moments I was in or memories that came to me during situations. But um for I think for a lot of these I wrote them when I was in Cape Town. Yes. No, I wrote them when I was in Cape Town. Just before I changed. Yeah, makes sense. But I think I am essentially doing this because there is something about sitting down and really looking back. And that is what got me into this house. Yeah. So let's get right into it. So the 27 things I've learned in my 27 years. Um the first one is accepting that things may not happen on my time or happen at all. Um oh my god. Yeah, I've had to really sit down and think about everything that I've done. I'm a very ambitious boy. This PhD is really PhDing. I'm lecturing. I'm doing all these things, and I also have a life, right? So, I was saying to myself earlier, like people who try and find a balance are the most disappointed people at the end of the day. Because if you keep on trying to find a balance, unfortunately, that's not how life works. You just need to always be present in any capacity. Because if you try and strike a balance, you are bound to, like, I guess, neglect an aspect of your life in some way. So rather not strike a balance. And I got to a point where I had to accept that things may not happen on my time or happen at all, because sometimes there's a sense of anticipation for something and it really doesn't happen, which then becomes a good thing for me. But when nothing or that thing doesn't happen at all, it's like, okay, fine, okay, but what do we do now? Or rather, like, what does it not happening mean for me, right? um so yeah, I'm a very ambitious boy. I came to Joburg in 2017 and I've been here for 9 years, if not 10, 9, 8, somewhere there, right? And yeah, I've I've lived, and it's really interesting how the reflection here is it speaks about accepting things, and I've accepted a lot of things, right? um and also accepting the fact that sometimes I'm not ready to step into particular things, but I find myself in them. People who know the story of where I live now, I never thought I'd be living here, right? Having all of these bougie things in my house. It's like, okay. But yeah, that's it. I think it has really grounded me and made me an even more calmer person, like very calm. like very calm. Like if it's not happening, it's not happening, and we're moving. We're not gonna be fixated on it. Wow. The second thing I learned is that kindness is an inward act. There have been moments where, like even now, even now, there have been moments where or rather, people have asked me, like, why are you doing that when this person has done one, two, three? And for me, it has always been, I get you, but that's what I feel like doing, or rather, or that's where I find myself at this point. And being kind for me is not, I guess people take it for being a fool, but it's not. Like, if I wanna do that thing, I'm gonna do it, irrespective of how bad you've hurt me. But trust me, I'm doing it to release you from me. Like, an example would probably be a situation that I am probably thinking about now, when somebody said I ghosted them, when actual fact I didn't. Um, and we kind of rekindled. And now I'm thinking I should actually just send him a text and say, hey boy, yeah, no, I don't think this is working. Yeah, that would be me being kind, right? But I'm also saying there is kind of there's kindness in actually saying, no, I'm not gonna say that. Like, I'm not gonna text or anything, right? Yeah, a lot of the things that I do out of kindness, even for the work that I do, you trust me, I think people at people, or rather the youth that I work with, will definitely tell you that I'm kind. And I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm not doing it because I'm obligated or it makes me look good. I don't care about looking good. So, yeah, like if you know you're a kind person, but you feel some type of way about it, sit down and really think if you're being kind as a natural thing, or you're being kind to be liked. Because honorable people pleasing, right? But yeah, the third thing that I've learned is that you can have people's best interest at heart, but it's up to them to want what you want for them. Oh my god, yes, 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 yes. This, guys, yeah, like, I think that's self-explanatory. Ah, man, this is so beautiful. You can have people's interest at heart, but it's up to them. Yeah, I'm gonna make an example that's not personal. You know when somebody is homeless, right? Um, and then they take them alostro, bamontsha ko strateng, a tsuba, ntho tsa di tsubang, right? Ba mo fa whatever, ba mo tlhatswa, ba mo isa rehab. Beke tlang he comes back and he goes back to the streets again, and yeah, he smokes again. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you can have people's best interests at heart, but it's up to them. I always also say, um, with instances such as, like, for my family, my mother wants a lot of stuff for us, right? She'd say, no, you should do one, two, three, one, two, three. But I've realized that my siblings aren't really open to such things. And I always tell her, you can't necessarily force this person to do that thing, because they'd only get to that point if they want to do it. So I think I've saved myself a lot of energy. um I've saved myself a lot of energy, and I mean, in terms of giving love, in terms of giving love, in terms of giving love, um, being there for people. Like, sometimes you can tell that this person really doesn't want that, but I think this is more, especially a reflection to my relationship. Um, when I was dating when I was in love with this man, and the one thing about like sitting down and reflecting after that relationship, and it ended so beautifully. Beautifully, because it ended beautifully because I'm saying Beauty and the Beast. The Beast comes first, but there's beauty in saying, wow, actually, wow, that changed something about me. But the change is good. Um, yeah, where I wanted to keep on giving love, but I then got to a point where I realized, yeah, no, I don't think um I can continue giving love in this way. So it's better to sit down with yourself or with the person amicably saying, look, you see what's happening now. And we really need to get to a point where we acknowledge it and decide on what happens. You can think of many scenarios for this thing, but yeah, you can have people's best interests at heart. But it's up to them to want what you want for them. And isn't that crazy? Like, we all want to sit down and contribute towards a world where people are free, where people are not discriminated, where there are no atrocities. But there are some people in the world who don't want that. So, yeah, I can make other examples, but we move. The fourth one. One, two, three, four. The fourth one. Accountable communication is at the heart of every successful relationship. And I spoke about my relationship, even though it's been years. And the one thing that assisted me, I guess, during that time was the fact that I could sit down with myself and be accountable, right, of what I did in the relationship and my contributions. But also I've realized that with my friends actually, yeah, we are really accountable in our communication. But the accountability comes from kindness. I think we are well aware of how we kind of affect each other's lives. So we are quite intentional about being in each other's lives, and that takes communication. I remember there was a time when I realized that myself and my best friend, lives are getting more serious. We're working, doing school. The PhD was dragging. And I was like, look, I don't have time, because I also work on weekends at some point, but I don't have time. And if we don't sit down and make that time, unfortunately, this friendship ceases to exist, because I spent the whole day in the house today, right? So yeah, if we are not intentional about how we kind of make time for each other in that way, unfortunately, this friendship is not going to work. So eventually, we created a friendship calendar and we've traveled to all these places. We've been to not Botswana, stop lying. We've been to Swaziland. We've traveled. We've been to Rustenburg. We've done all these things. We've been to Cape Town, and I love them so much. And I think even in our growth, I see how accountable communication kind of makes our relationship survive. Even if when we have fallouts, we sit down and really say, hey, look, this what happened. What happens now? Yeah. But also knowing that you also played a part in contributing to the outcome of whatever you now have to account for, right? So yeah. Number the fifth, let me do this. The fifth thing I learned is that you need to do things from where you are, not from where you want to be. Oh, crazy. You need to do things from where you are, not from not from where you want to be. This is self-explanatory, but I've always been, you see, the thing of accepting that things won't happen may not happen on time, on my time, or at all. This is where this comes in. I then realized, look, I work hard and I do all of these great things, but I want to see myself at a particular point, right? Then I had to realize that I needed to sit down and think about where I am now, not where I want to be. Currently, I didn't even think I'd be here, right? So, do things from where you are, not from where you want to be. So currently, I didn't even imagine I'd be here in my life right now, right? But I knew that I was still in school, still am, right? But I also had to think about what being in school means and how I wanted to look, right? I knew I wanted to become a teacher, which is what's happening now. But I never thought I'd then be a lecturer, right? I'd then be a lecturer, and I'm a lecturer. So then saying, look, let's sit down and really think about where we are now, because my plans are not God's plans, right? And think about, people do long-term goals, short-term goals. I think at the end of the day, those work perfectly, but look at ways to enrich yourself for the path that you are going to. Not necessarily because people are doing things now, you want to do things. I've gotten to this point, I think I've gotten a few certificates within the path of academia, right? And they make sense. Those things make sense because that's where I eventually then see myself venturing into. So do things from where you are, not from where you want to be. But also sounds quite contradictory. But doing them from where you are now makes much more sense, because if essentially you're gonna get to where you want to be. And I guess then the flip side of this is the fact that because you want to see yourself as, I guess, a lecturer or a professor, you try and do too much, right? And then the doing too much kind of gets clouded or clouds the actual vision. And then when you eventually get to the point where the opportunity of being a professor comes through, you might end up missing it because you have a lot going on already. Yeah, crazy, because I needed to hear this. Yeah, so do things from where you are, not from where you want to be. Number 6, the sixth thing I learned, the sixth thing I learned is that integrity is an individual responsibility. Oh my goodness. Integrity is an individual responsibility. And I'm going to explain this with the job that I do. So I have multiple jobs, which has been the life. But there's this one job where, because I am part of the queer community, I do work within the queer community space, right? And I was telling someone, a coworker actually, I was like, it's so interesting how, like, I've protected the space and the space I've created for the youth and like the work that I do. And I'm realizing it has affected how I date or my dating experience, because there've been so many opportunities of dating people from within the space and the community, right? But I can't do that because those are the people and the lifeline of the work that I do. So at the end of the day, I have to be integral, right? I have to uphold a particular standard and protect the space so that we aren't in a situation where when people think about the space, they're like, oh, you're going there. Obvious is gonna, oh, you're going there. Yo, watch out for Obvious. and things become sus, right? And I don't think even if you were to hit up one of them, there'd be anyone who speaks about something I've done inappropriately or a move I've made on someone. I think, yeah, it has really affected me in that way, because I'm saying I've met so many people, because cohorts and cohorts come and go, but I've met so many great people that I've sat down at one point and thought, I wonder how that would have been. Because there are some people who approach me, but you have to really sit down and say, hey, look, I get where you're coming from, but I don't think it would happen. It will happen because you need this space more than you need this relationship. And I mean, with what's happening in the country now, an example would be integrity is really an individual responsibility, because the policeman who decided to then report all these things is an individual commitment to the National Defense Force, right? Or rather, the police or his work, the same way it is for me. So I think integrity is really an individual responsibility. And at least when you're integral, you navigate the world with the pride of knowing that you've played your part in really making sure that things are upheld to a higher standard. And I've also realized that that kind of then makes it hard for people to leave you, or rather for you to move from one job to the other, because they'll never find someone like you. So yeah, integrity is an individual responsibility. Lesson number 7: seeking for stability breeds tension and frustration. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you constantly seek for stability, you are gonna be tense and frustrated. And I think these things track, because when things don't happen your way, you then try and do too much and you get clouded, right? And then you start having problems with sleep and things like that. But in terms of the stability, right? We are young. We are very young. And I'm saying very young because somebody sent me a message saying everything I touch turns into gold. And saying, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I'm so proud of you, everything you touch turns into gold. And I sat down and was like, and that's on period. I've worked multiple jobs. There was a time I was working 3 jobs, one in tech, one where I work now, where I've been working for years, and then the other one it was in America, right? So and this house was empty, by the way. And I remember with the 3 salaries, I had sat down and thought about what I really wanted for my house. And when I eventually got paid, I'd buy that thing particularly, and I'd wait for the other month to come through, right? So I was pacing myself in kind of furnishing my house, furnishing, or like getting furniture into my house. And there were points where I sat down and I thought, but like, what will happen once you have all these things in your house? What will happen with which is also how I got this house. What will happen once you're done, right? And then I remember I finished the house, I did everything I needed to do, and then I sat down and was like, you know what? I think we should leave one job. Bittersweet moment. I remember getting an interview before I actually decided that I'm leaving. And these people were promising me stuff to say, hey, what are your dreams and aspirations? And I was telling them, I was working for big companies, bruh. I was working with big companies. We were offering a particular service. And I was like, I've worked so much. I've done so much. Let's see. Let's stay and see where it goes. But it was breeding tension and frustration because I couldn't necessarily bring myself to constantly motivate for needing that particular thing. I was already stable, right? I went through the tension because I could see where it's going. But when it starts to be dislocated, then it didn't make sense. I wasn't doing anything with the money. People would say save, yeah, but yeah, it doesn't work that way. But I've also seen this in other people as well who constantly wanna get things, get the bag, get the bag, get the bag. But when you're getting the bag and you're really seeing that the bag, Sana, is not the one you want Ted Baker, but you can only afford, what's that? Ooh, messed up price. Right? Right? Or the jean jacket, self-made. Um, yeah. I also think it's a matter of sitting down and thinking about like what you really want, and if that's for you, and if it speaks to your character. Because when you begin to envy other people, that's when like you think that's what stability is for you, and then because you can't attain the level of stability that you've seen in other people that you've now assumed as your own stability, it becomes frustrating. Even with the efforts that you're making, it becomes frustrating, and you become tense. So yeah, I think seeking for stability breeds tension and frustration, and I've become much more calmer now in my life than I've ever been before. Like if the conversation is not happening, it's not happening. If I've tried twice, I know I'm definitely not trying it the third time because it doesn't work like that. The eighth lesson I've learned is to speak life into your dreams and aspirations. This is so sitting in this house and saying all of these things is such a beautiful moment to reflect. Um yeah, speak life into your dreams and aspirations. That's all I'm gonna say. Funny enough, I'll refer to my academic journey, right? Um I remember I started my PhD before I finished my master's. And currently with whatever's happening with my PhD, whatever that is, um, yeah, at the beginning of the year, I remember saying, you know what, this year I have to teach because I need to build an academic portfolio and I'm gonna get jobs. I've taught at AFDA, I'm teaching at WITS in one department, and I had to teach in another one because of that. So just speak life into your dreams and aspirations. And yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. There was a moment, I remember there was a time, and when I'm saying dreams and aspirations, I remember there was a time, so I'm spiritually inclined for people who know my personal life. I'm traditionally and spiritually inclined. And I remember saying to my friend, I have a feeling that there's a change happening in my life, but I can't necessarily say what it is. And then there was a time I remember saying to my other friend that I'm gonna meet someone and I'm gonna be madly in love with them and they're gonna love me. And I met that person and we're madly in love. So speak life into your dreams and aspirations. And I think because you then speak life into them, and I'm saying speak life into them, speak with conviction. Dream and be Dululu. Dream and be Dululu. Actually, like I'm literally sitting here because I was delusional about my life. But speak life into your dreams and aspirations. I am proof of that. The ninth lesson I've learned is that not me is also a valid reason. Saying no to things the universe brings to you is also you telling it what you believe you deserve. You know, I've kissed frogs. And the current frog that wanted to kiss me, I was like, yeah, no, God, this one is not for me. definitely not me. And I'm saying this because I also realized that the aspect of my kindness requires me to sit down and really be a discern. So there are times where even with my friends, I literally will say, not me. Yeah, no, I'm going home. Or not me, escampapelayalo. Or not me. Definitely not me, right? Um yeah, and I've also kind of practiced saying no. And I'm saying practice because I usually say, yeah, not me. Definitely not me. And people won't get it. So I'm like, yeah, no. Just no. Which seems a bit uncomfortable because, I mean, I'm in academia, and in academia, you have to like be very extensive. Uh, but no is also something. Um, so, not me is a valid reason. The 10th lesson I've learned is that pleasure and pain are feelings that exist together. Man, man, love is such a beautiful thing. Pleasure and pain are feelings that exist. Why is this such a bottom coded thing? Pain and pleasure. um, yeah, pain and pleasure are feelings that exist together. Yeah, the work that I do, the activism work that I do, is pleasurable, right? I came back home at 1 a.m. actually from work. Um, but the things that happen to people within the community are quite painful. The work that I do for my PhD and my research is essentially painful reading about stuff every day. There was a point where I used to read about, like, when I read about queer people, there'd be HIV everywhere. And there was a point where I literally got, like, I don't know, fatigued or triggered or what. I don't know. But there was something about constantly reading about that kind of then put me in a particular mood. But I got the pleasure from really knowing that whatever outcome I get from that is a contribution to the community from my own personal perspective or view, or using my own resources and knowledge towards the benefit of the community. So, yeah, I really think that pain and pleasure are feelings that exist together, but also in love, bruh. Like in love can be both pleasurable and both painful. But also remember, pain pain is the essence of pleasure. I don't know how to explain this any further. So the 11th thing I learned is that you need to treat yourself better than you treat others. And I'm saying this because I'm a very kind person, right? And sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt more than I do myself. So I think treating myself better than I treat others will always be my first priority because I can go out of the way for someone else. But I've gotten to a point where I've actually started redirecting that to myself. By buying myself everything that I'd wanna buy for someone else. Flowers, taking myself out on dates and things like that. I also think in terms of self-talk, like you really need to be better with that. Because yes, I can motivate others, but who motivates me? So kind of redirecting that to myself has worked for me to this point. It's a trial and error, but we make it work. The 12th thing that I've learned is that tell people the truth, it exonerates you. Ugh. Tell people the truth, it exonerates you. I've been in many positions where because I usually don't like conflict, and people sometimes people act out of character, right? And we probably have a fallout. In some cases, people would ask like, "What happened?" and they'd hear the person's side of the story without hearing mine. So usually when I get the opportunity to tell the truth, I do. I also think that in terms of work, it works perfectly. There was a situation I remember when I used to work at that production company. I deleted footage. I deleted majority of the footage, and it was such a mess. But I think everything. When I sat down and I told the lady the truth, that hey, uh, your footage has been deleted. She's like, I know it's fine. Let's try piece everything together. And I think the film came out not long after that, and then I left the production company. But tell people the truth, it exonerates you. I think you also sleep better knowing that you told the truth. Like, even if it comes back and bites you in the ass. But yeah. Yeah. The 11th, no, not the 11th. The 13th thing I've learned is that give space even if it threatens the relationship. Um, and I'm saying this because there were there was a month, I think in July, it was my friend's birthdays, and we were all together almost every day. And then we traveled to Swaziland, and I told them I'm not gonna be seeing you for the whole month. Like, I needed the space. It threatened the relationship because when we came back from Swaziland, there were a lot of things that we learned about each other, right? Because traveling does do that. But for me, I saw it as an opportunity to say, hey, look, we're going out together, but there are a bit of 10 points of tension that we need to address. And I think they had to sit down as well and like go through that themselves, which eventually they got through. But I really appreciate giving space, even if it threatens the relationship. And I think in my relationships generally, it's not a cold treatment. It's saying, okay, fine, let's sit down and think about it, and then we'll circle back in whatever time. Yeah, give space. If it was a true relationship, the thread falls off. Ah, okay, yes, if it was a true relationship, the thread kind of falls off.